Yes, you are tuned in to the Cinema 9 podcast featuring three men who talk about film, who have reached a certain age where they just don't care anymore, and they're willing to open up to you as an audience. Thank you for joining us on the Cinema 9 podcast. I'm Michael Govier. I am joined by my two co-hosts, as always, Travis Roy, no longer in Brighton, Michigan. If you haven't been following the show, now available in Hazel Park. It's a brand new edition of you.
Yeah. I'm large and in charge in Hazel Park, Michigan, and I'm doing real well. You know, it's been a real nice week for me personally. For I think America, it's been a good run. I'm doing well.
It's been a good run for America. That's all right. Cool. Congratulations, America. Eric Branstrom, live from Griffith, Indiana. But you're muted. Patrick is muted.
Hey.
You are muted. Now you're unmuted.
I want to start the show by apologizing to legendary actor Warren Beatty.
Wow.
We'll talk about it later, but I watched Bonnie and Clyde the other night. Warren Beatty's fucking awesome.
Well, yeah, that's a great movie.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a classic. It's been.
We gave him a lot of shit, though. We were like, why is this guy an actor? And the proof is in the pudding. Watch a movie like that. He's out of sight.
You know, even A Broken Clock, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I think that he was the right guy for the role, but there may have, I mean, other people could have probably done that role pretty well or better at the time. I think. I mean,
wow.
Jack Nicholson probably could have really done well with that. Who else from that time? Redford would have nailed it. You know, I don't know.
Well, he was younger and motivated and. Probably did give. I mean, it's a different
well connected. I mean, that's kind of like my gripe with him is that he comes from a prestigious acting family.
Of course he does.
Never really had the chops to back it up, in my opinion.
Yeah, for those that don't know, his sister is Shirley MacLaine. So there you go.
Yeah, I watched a Shirley MacLaine movie this week myself.
Oh, well, we're going to hear about it because it's the Cinema 9 Pod. Cinema 9 Pod at protonmail.com, Cinema 9 Pod, and all your favorite social medias. We currently have an exciting little game of listener choice.
Yeah.
A new version, the updated 2021 edition, which is also a retro version all at the same time. Travis, why don't you tell people what's going on with that?
Well, back in the day, we used to play a version of a game that was basically a process of process of elimination kind of game. Everybody would go in and pick out a bunch of movies, one by one. We would go through and each take a turn rejecting those movies until we decided which movie we were going to watch. So we posted that on Facebook and every day. Thank you to everyone who is participating and playing. Really, truly appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. It would be really weird, and we wouldn't actually. I was kind of worried about the timing too, because it was like a thing where it's like, is this going to get, is this way too early in advance, or is it going to be planned out right? But I think we'll select our next film just in time for next episode, Mike. So we'll do yours next episode, and then you'll be able to announce what the next one is after that. So that's very exciting.
Yay! You do me, I'll do you. Sounds good. Let's do it.
Fuck me.
Yeah, all right. So Cinema 9 Pod on Facebook page. We get a lot of action going on there. Vote, remove. It's more of a removal process than anything. So take a movie out, Eric Branstrom took out Mallrats. But, just because you take a movie out doesn't mean it's not going to come back to bite you later on. So
I think a lot of them on the list are likely to come back in. I mean, we like Wag the Dog was rejected today by friend of the show, Chris Deary. And I'm like, that's fine, because all three of us, I think, have talked about it, doing that on this show at some point. So there's a good chance it's going to come up. So I'm not too worried.
It's always a challenge because you get movies like, for me personally, something like As Good as It Gets or The Fugitive that are just stained on your heart. I mean, you run into situations where it's like, I'm just going to be lauding it and just, I don't know how to attack it at every level just because it's a part of me.
Is that the show? We attack movies?
Going back to Warren Beatty, though, he was said to have vetted over 13,000 women in his day. God damn.
Well, congratulations, Warren. I mean, as long as they were all consensual, I have no problem with that. So.
I mean, Wilt still has him beat, I would assume, right? I mean,
yeah.
Wilt's out there.
Hey, Wilt never did Bulworth. At least we can say that about him.
Yeah, exactly. The points just keep on racking in his favor.
Well, Bulworth was a mistake. We all make mistakes, and I think if he apologizes for Bulworth, then maybe we can forgive Warren Beatty.
Yeah,
But I don't
let's
think
start a hashtag like to try and cajole Warren Beatty into like giving a public apology for Bulworth. Like I was wrong. Sorry.
Let's be honest. When's the last time we saw Bulworth? All of us.
I don't know, but I feel like it's gonna come up with the fucking show.
Absolutely.
I saw it when it was new.
Justice for Warren. Hashtag justice for Warren.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
pretty sure I saw it about 4
now.
years ago. I was like, oh, I remember this movie Bulworth, or I didn't really remember it, so I watched it and I was like, oh, well,
Halle, right? Halle Berry in that one, I believe.
she's so gorgeous. What a beautiful woman. It's amazing. She does not age.
Some
It's
would
insane.
say she's an attractive woman.
She doesn't age. It's bizarre, man.
It's
I
not
know
all about looks, though, Mike. I mean, she's a really talented actor as well.
Well, she's an Academy Award-winning actress, yes.
Yeah.
But that goes without saying. Monsters Ball. Maybe we'll do Monsters Ball at the end of the show. Stay tuned. You never know what my choice is going to be. Right now, there are several choices up in the air, so I could just go. I'm feeling kind of rebellious today, and I might make it really stupid and dumb. So we'll see.
All right.
But I might not too. I might go with something that I would like to know. Does it hold up? Because this is the mission of the show. Do things hold up? We want to know the truth. And I believe very much in the spirit and the mission statement of Cinema 9 Pod. Having said that, let's get to Travis because it's time for quarantine viewing picks. Travis, there's a rumbling that some people are unhappy with the way we do the order, but I like this. I like you go first and you kind of set the tone and we go around in circles. We could switch the order up or something, but I like how we do it. How about you?
I like discussing it the way we do, and people are welcome to, skip if they don't want to listen to it.
There's the 30-second or 15-second button depending on your format.
Right. So I watched a few movies this week, as I tend to do. The Shirley MacLaine movie I watched was Being There. This is a movie, Hal Ashby from 1979. It always looked so magical to me, and I kind of it's always kept it in my back pocket, like waiting for that right moment. I almost didn't want to watch it because I was afraid it wouldn't live up to my expectations. Because I thought it was just going to be like Peter Sellers and Hal Ashby teamed up. I just didn't, even as a kid, just the cover box, I'm like, this is going to be something amazing. And I just didn't watch it for 40 fucking years or whatever. Anyways, so it was really nice. It was a lot more satirical than I was expecting. But it was a sweet movie and a perfect performance, or a perfect role for Sellers. So I enjoyed that. I watched Spree and I also watched Wild Mountain Time, both of which I wrote reviews for on our Instagram. But I was glad to watch John Patrick Shanley's newest offering was definitely worth catching. I'm going to skip some of the one. I'm not going to tell you everything I watched this time because I watched some crap and it doesn't all bear talking about. I did watch Becoming Mike Nichols, the last interviews that Mike Nichols did before his death, wow. which Mike, I know you're a big Mike Nichols fan.
Yeah, where's that at?
It's on HBO Max.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, it's even if you're not a huge Mike Nichols fan, I think if you're a fan of American pop culture. If you just want, if you just want, hey, here's a titan of the industry who helped guide things off in his ways for decades, just talking about his craft and his friends and all this stuff. And again, the last two interviews that he gave. So it's definitely worth catching.
Do they talk about what planet are you from?
Yeah. Do we get the apology?
It didn't come up.
No apology for what planet are you from?
No.
All right, Mike. All right, we'll let it slide.
Oh.
At friend of the show, Brian Madison's suggestion, I checked out The Witch, Part 1, The Subversion.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to back him up on this. I recommend this as well. It's not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be horror. If I dug a little deeper and seen that it was it's directed by the same guy that wrote I Saw the Devil. So I kind of maybe would have that might prep you a little bit, but it's definitely worth catching. Very fun action, very wild action movie. So I recommend that one. My big recommendation though for the week. Oh, I'm sorry. There's two I want to talk about. I watched One Night in Miami from 2020, which
Regina King directed.
Yeah, Regina King, proves to be a good actress director, which unsurprisingly, she's clearly a talented woman. It's unsurprisingly she's a good director as well. So that was awesome. And this Leslie Odom Jr., who played Aaron Burr in Hamilton. Yeah, he definitely Burr, sir. He definitely impressed me in Hamilton, and he impressed me again on this as playing the role of Sam Cooke. Just real standout performance.
Don't know much about bags of weed. There you go, little Sam Cooke.
Yeah, the movie itself was pretty spot on, pretty good. But his performance especially, I would recommend. But the movie that really hit me the hardest was one I squeezed in between work and this episode that we're recording right now. I watched 2018's Thunder Road, written, directed, and starring Jim Cunningham in like his premiere. Like you might not know this name. It's not like, but you probably will.
Is he the guy from Donnie Darko?
No, in the night, like he's nobody. Like I mean, like Cunningham was one of the names of the characters in Donnie Darko. I don't think it was Jim Cunningham.
I thought it was the Swayze's character. Yeah, I was just fucking around.
Anyway, so this movie has had like a lot of buzz building up around it. Like I've heard a lot of good things. I've seen it I saw it on some people's like best of the 21st century or best of last decade list rather when the year was ending. I don't know if I quite put it there, but movies that I thought of while watching it were like I thought of Rudderless, I thought of Love Liza, which are hard hitting movies, but this movie doesn't hit nearly as hard as those. Like it's not the emotional work that those movies are. So like, don't be scared that I'm comparing it to those movies because it'll make you laugh too. But just an emotional powerhouse of a movie from a writer, director, star that we just don't really get a lot of that these days. These kinds of these kinds of people, these kind of movies like we did in the 90s. And man, I really could recommend it more. It's on Amazon Prime. And those are the movies I watched.
That is beautiful.
Damn.
Yeah.
List.
I watched Love Liza a couple months ago. So.
No way.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it since one of my 2005-6ish, and I wanted to see it now that I've experienced a little bit more life. It's still downtrodden.
You a huge fan of Radio Control.
I've forgotten all about the part where he ends up buying the goddamn airplane and all that shit.
It's very wild.
But that's a good recommendation, Travis. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Thunder Road.
Thunder Road and the lightning strikes. Garth Brooks or Chris Gaines?
Different Thunder Road.
Oh, okay. Eric Branstrom, what does Griffith, Indiana have to offer in movie going this week?
Here at Griffith, I got a trial of Hulu so I could just like burn through all of the stuff that I've been interested in, and I might stick with it because there's a lot of really cool stuff on there. I'm not blown away by the fact that they have like 3 or 4 ads like before every movie, and I'm paying for this service. So I don't know how I feel about that from a commerce point of view.
I feel like I don't have those. I don't have ads in my Hulu.
Yeah, every time I watch a movie, I have to watch it.
There's the one where you pay for it and there's ads, and then there's one where you pay even more and there's no ads at all.
Okay.
So maybe look at the tiers.
That must be what I have.
Tiers.
Yeah.
Fuck. Well, speaking of like difficult movies, and Lord knows if you've got a dude huffing gasoline like 5 times in your feature 90-minute movie, Love Liza is a tough film to watch. And I took a look at a Lars von Trier film that I've never seen any of this guy's movies. I've never seen Dancer in the Dark with Bjork. I've never seen Dogville or Melancholia. I've heard that like he's this fucking weirdo and his movies are really bizarre, but I've never pulled the trigger until
Nymphomaniac? You never pleasured yourself?
I scroll past it once in a while and there's some interesting imagery in there, but I've never seen it. I watched The House That Jack Built. Okay.
I couldn't
Matt Dillon, Uma Thurman,
one of the only movies I've ever turned off.
It's a tough watch. I fucking thought it was a masterpiece, though. And I know it's going to be a divisive film. I was talking to a friend of the show, Chad. He absolutely loved it, too. Dude, I mean, it's hard.
The duck scene was you can kill people all fucking day. You start torturing animals in your movie. I'm
cutting ducks' legs off. I mean, I can totally see that, Travis. I mean, for me, like every few years, I think it's kind of important to see a movie like this just to give you. I mean, you don't have to do this to know that film can do more than just entertain. It can really provoke you emotionally. And I think it's kind of interesting every so often to look at a film that kind of does do that. And this one fucking pushes a lot of buttons, but it's also got a lot to say about psychosis and art and culture in in a weird amalgam that I'm not used to seeing. So for that reason, I recommend it.
I will just interject real quick to say
Please.
that Thunder Road challenged me emotionally, and no humans or there was like it wasn't like again, like I like gore. I'm not trying to judge the gore. Yeah. But like when it's just like this wanton, like seemingly, just like Devil's Rejects. I remember that's a movie I turned off as well. Like the violence doesn't usually bother me in movies, but if it's just like depicted uber realistically and there doesn't seem to be consequence or lessons learned from it, then I just I can't get down with it.
Yeah,
but anyway, I don't mean to stomp all over you.
No, not at all. I mean, something like Rob Zombie. This is a guy who straight up glamorizes violence, and I'm against that. But yeah, I take your point for sure. I took a look at fucking Framing John DeLorean. Mike, did you get a chance to check this out?
No, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I definitely do want to watch it. You recommended it to me on Sunday, and I'm interested. I'm very much interested.
It has everything for you. 80s, big money, cocaine, mega maniacal businessman. It's a really fucking interesting documentary. So John DeLorean, of course, created the famous DMC model vehicle from Back to the Future, but
sure.
I never knew too much about the man, and he was involved with a story that's fucking straight out of a movie. And this documentary is told in an interesting way because you've got the people that were there, his kids are interviewed, and then it's kind of interspersed with this teleplay where Alec Baldwin plays John DeLorean, and he breaks the fourth wall and talks about like his personal experience, knowing the man, this and that. An odd way to tell a story, but it's just different, and I definitely recommend it. It's cheesy and it's been out there forever, but took a look at Places of the Heart from 1984, and this is just a beautiful, touching American story that I really liked. I'd never seen it before. Sally Field, John Malkovich, Danny Glover. I did a double feature on Kristen Stewart. I'm a Kristen Stewart fan. I like most all of her work.
Tremendous.
Recently, she seems a little checked out to me. Her early stuff for me, and this one I just love. It's probably my pick of the week. She was just so into it and so interesting. Speak. All right. I've been hearing some murmuring about this for a while, and I finally got a chance to see it on Prime. 2005 film. Jessica Sharzer directs from her own book. You got Robert John Burke and Steve Zahn in great supporting performances. It's basically about a drama about a teenager who suffered sexual trauma, and she's trying to deal with that and her school life. And, I talked about this a few weeks ago, that it's been a while since I've seen a movie that depicts high school in a way that's just, not this or that, but in a way that interests me. Like I took like half a look at that Easy A movie, and I was like, I can't do this. Like it's just so obnoxious. But if you're into Kristen Stewart and you like a good drama, this is a fucking fantastic movie. I followed it up with Happiest Season. Personally, I didn't care for Happiest Season. I know a lot of people do. I was hoping for a little bit more than I found it a little perfunctory, but I appreciate Clea Duvall, and just wasn't for me. After that, News of the World with Tom Hanks, I fucking really enjoyed. I know Mike wasn't really interested in it, but I thought it was just a sweet old-fashioned Western that I was entertained by.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that one out. But I went to go pull the $20 trigger, and I thought to myself, if I'm gonna spend $20 on this, then I'll do Wild Mountain Time, because I've been meaning to do that for a while. And actually, the price had dropped to $10 on that, so it was.
You can wait. It's one of those that you don't really think about after a couple of days goes by, but it's a really well put together film. Paul Greengrass does great work in it. I haven't seen him lately.
Well, they're always good, like you guys said. Greengrass and Mr. Hanks are always good together, so that's a good combo. It just looks like you described the typical kind of Western. I just wasn't feeling that right now, I guess.
Wait for, and if I may, one more, Vox Lux. Man, this movie's fucking awesome. It's on Hulu. Natalie Portman, Jude Law are unreal in it. Their performances are so fucking good. And it's such a bizarre movie with a very odd ending that I didn't expect, but I was hooked from almost start to finish. It reminded me a lot of John Glazer's work, Birth and Under the Skin. So I definitely would recommend checking it out.
Is this something that you guys had heard of? I've never heard of this in my life until you posted it on Instagram a couple days ago.
Never heard of it.
Okay, I'm like, how does this fucking Natalie Portman movie come out and be out for years and I not hear of it?
Check it
Did you
out,
say
Travis. I'd be interested.
Jude Law's in this?
Jude Law is fucking doing the best work he's done in a few years.
How am I not myself?
Better,
Okay, interesting.
better than Captain Marvel? I doubt it. I doubt it. I'll check it out.
Laughable.
That's funny, Travis. Very impressive.
I liked him in that.
Wow. So
Captain
Hulu's
Mannequin.
had a big impression on you, Eric.
I'm impressed, but I don't want to go to up a tier just to get rid of these ads. I'm already paying like $6. But hey, such is life, man. You gotta get your entertainment.
I pay 10. I think I get Showtime with it. I get something with
Okay.
it.
All right.
You get Showtime too?
Yeah, I get something. I'm getting something else with it. I can't remember what. It's a bundle.
Ah.
Damn, I hate to do this. I rarely do this, but I got to tell you one more. Isle of Dogs. I've been holding out for a couple of years because I didn't care for the Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I wasn't feeling it. I couldn't do it. I was like Wes Anderson out. It's just like too quirky. And I saw it, and I thought it was really fucking good. So I kind of regret not seeing it a couple of years ago. Joel Frederick, friend of the show, just always lauds it, and I thought it was really good.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right. I mean,
But he's got the Wes Anderson cranked up to 11. It's out of control. Every fucking case opens, you got to get every description of the fucking little toothpaste, toothbrush, thingamajig, thimble in there. It's all that shit.
Hooah!
I don't know if I would watch that movie because I didn't want to watch Fantastic Fox at all. But yeah, maybe I'll think of it. It
might surprise you.
It's funny that because we're all fans of
I know.
and at the same time, like all three of us are like, man, to the animated stuff. And I didn't like Fantastic Fox, Mr. Fox. I didn't like Isle of Dogs. I just it's not like I hated them. I just found them like
it's so
just
much
kind of cloying, you know.
It's
just kind of.
That's perfect. It's cloyingly quirky and so Wes Anderson. It's not even fucking funny, but that's it. Thank you.
We thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Eric Brancham. We appreciate that.
This is such a crock of shit.
Well, in my opinion, I would like to
Birdman.
talk about.
Bad man. What the hell
Oh,
is
that's a
that?
good one, Birdman. Shit, that's the one I didn't get. All right, so I watched movies. I watched. Speaking of Kristen Stewart, I watched American Ultra. I hadn't watched it in a couple years.
I love it.
And it's I didn't like it as much when I watched it, and Travis always loved it, and I went back and watched it. And I liked it a lot more this time, so
Yeah, I love it.
that's
so much.
positive.
That's positive.
It's almost like it's trying to be funny at times, but serious and a romantic escapade, while having this commentary about how much absolute power there is in the government. That all of the things that happen in that movie seem very plausible for the most part.
Weirdly so. Yeah, I mean, they are kind of based in some, it's based on the MK Ultra program and that kind of stuff. But I just love Eisenberg kicking ass in this movie. He's so because he's just not an ass kicker. And to have him go all Jason Bourne is it's wild.
Yeah, that part still is like whatever. I could buy into it, but it's got Walton Goggins in it as Laugher, which is always a laugh. That's a good time. And what I found to be most bizarre to me was the fact that the excuse they use to get this whole kind of local war going on, little battle, is a virus breaks out, a monkey virus. And,
that's right. I forgot about
and everyone freaks out, and they go to, Rose's place, played by John Leguizamo, and he's like, "You got the monkey virus!" And they're all freaking out because they're seeing it on TV, and that is believable. Like a cover like that now, it just seems like, oh, geez, I guess that would maybe happen. So, anyways, American Ultra, go back and check it out. Solid. If you don't like Kristen Stewart, don't worry. It's not like she's not up in your Twilight biz here. It's not Twilighty. It's very much not that at all. So, and she's amazing at Adventureland. So
I find those to be a very small blip when it comes to her capabilities.
When will we as a society let her and Robert Pattinson alone? I mean, people aren't going to Tom Cruise and be like, "Hey, risky business. You're going to slide around in your fucking underwear." People were done with that by the time of Interview with the Vampire. Like, let's let these people. They did their time. They got famous. They're very talented people. Let's.
Well, there's some people who say otherwise. These movies really shoved them down our throat.
Well, these are the people that haven't gone out. Like, I hear a lot of shit about Bob Pattinson being Batman, and it's because they don't realize how amazing this guy is as an actor. Good time.
Yeah. No, he's great in that.
The Lighthouse. I mean. Go out there and see the work. Don't judge someone on something from fucking 2008 for Christ's sake.
Well, Twilight came out and people were like,
it's just not fun when you have a thing like this, okay? It's not fun.
It's not fun anymore.
No, it's
so
not.
they ruined the fun. That's what happened. But I stand alone as a man who believes in both of them. And when you put Eisenberg and Stewart together, I like the chemistry. I love Adventureland. It's one of my favorite movies. So. Yeah. So what else did I watch? Things about stuff in society. You know, I did. I wrote it down, but I like to fuck around sometimes. I got great news for you, though. This is huge.
Huge news. Ready.
School ties.
I finished Heaven's Gate.
Oh my God! Wow. Now, what version are we talking about here, Michael? 3.5 hours.
One. Oh yeah, the epic.
The whole enchilada. You bit in. All right.
Remember, I told you I watched I have the original one with a half hour, 45-minute. I'm at college fucking around. Our life is great.
That's the version I watched.
If John Hurt was never in this movie, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. Seriously.
That's probably true.
Like, I was hoping, okay, there's going to be like this two guys on different sides, but there's going to be much more of them. There's nothing. He's just a drunk who and that's a point too. Like, hey, I'm just a rich baby drunk, and here I am. I could see that too. I appreciate that. But
what do you think, Mike? Did it meld into you? Can you appreciate it on not just a cinematography level, but for the great work of art that it is from a legendary filmmaker?
I can. I see your points, and they're valid, and it's a very honest film. It's genuine, and all the going back to, we're talking about with Twilight and shit. Again, these stories, these myths, and these narratives that build up about films in Hollywood, and this is clearly the one that changed the system forever. And United Artists almost went bankrupt. And
how did you do with the 2-hour-long roller skating scene?
Well, I do admit I may have fast forwarded a little bit through that part.
That seems awful.
Yeah, that is awful. I definitely was clicking forward on that part. No lies there.
There's no excuse for that scene. Like, there's just no excuse.
No, but the fact that we got immigrants who are trying to survive. It's just a timeless American tale, which unfortunately is very relevant, fairly relevant to today. Yes,
and I really love that, like the historical accuracy of it. The idea of like all of these like rich elitist like Ivy League types being like, all right, I'm gonna go prove my manhood out in the West now, and they go out there and they have like these wild fucking times and like have all this like life-changing stuff. And then I'd love, like, not to ruin it for those who haven't seen it, but I'm not, like, no spoilers, but the end of the movie to see like where Chris Christopherson ends up, and you're just like, wow. It's just like it's just like 3.5 hours and you get there and you're like, fuck.
I also didn't know you could live that nice on a yacht in 1903. I was like, wow, that's not a bad life. I didn't know yachts were that advanced at that time.
Gatsby's type shit, right? I mean,
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, it's I just wasn't in the mood, I guess, the first time I watched it, but I finished it for you.
Right.
I made a promise to a friend many moons ago, and I saw it through to the end. Speaking of other Chris Christopherson films, I watched He's Just Not That Into You, which, yeah, Chris Christopherson is in.
I forgot. I don't remember even if you say this.
He plays the father of Jennifer Aniston. Spoiler alert, has a heart attack, and it bonds Jennifer and Ben Affleck together. Very powerful.
Back to me now. Wow.
I saw this movie in the theater and I liked it. I did. And I watched it again and I still like it. Now, there's no black people in this movie at all. It's a cast of like 50 white people, and that's bad. That is not holding up immediately. But there's a very positive, so there's a whole, it's in Baltimore, which I like too. It's based in Baltimore, so that's always fun for me. And this movie's not that great. It doesn't hold up. Tried
walking yourself through this one, bud.
Yeah, right.
Give screen time. So there's like this guy worked for the Baltimore Blade, which is like the gay magazine, the LGBTQT magazine of Baltimore. And even when they try to give screen time to like gay people in a homosexual audience, they fuck it up. So no, it's just trash. Trash.
What year is this? Because I was watching Best in Show the other night, and while Michael McKean and John Michael Higgins are hilarious, it's just like classic, like late '90s, like representation of what gay men are like.
Oh yeah, it's dated. This is 2009, so it's a little more recent. And they had the fucking guy who doesn't exist now from Entourage, the little guy, Eric Connolly. So I'm like, oh, remember that guy? Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore? What was it, like negated from existence?
Well, he doesn't. I haven't seen him in a movie or anything recently.
Cataract was used, and he was just recording.
That's right. His eyes turned black, and the rest is history. Yeah. And anyways, that's. I watched Jackass 3. That was fun. So if you haven't watched a Jackass in a while, it's always a good time. It made me laugh, and it gives me a laugh whenever I need it. So
funny. We got Jackass 4 coming out, and they're old and sober now. So what are they going to do? Like fucking like slip on a banana peel or some shit?
Are they? They're doing it 4? I thought after Johnny died, they were like, we're done.
It's coming.
Okay, great. You know, I remember I saw 3. It was 3D, Jackass 3 3D. And remember when everybody was obsessed with like slow-mo photography when 3D in like 2009, 10, 11. Even fucking Nolan did it in Inception, which I love. But there's like that. Remember the scene where the first dreaming with Ellen Page and all that shit's exploding around him? It's like, whoa, that's cool. So there was this advance in photography. Good for them. Anyways, that's pretty much it. There's some other ones I watched, but I think I want to use them as possible targets for the show, and I don't want to give them away right now. So,
right. I think how many starred Reese Witherspoon?
0.
Oh,
so
okay.
One of them starred Nick Cage.
And,
shit. Yeah, another one of them. In fact, 3 of them that I watched ended up being Focus Features. This is a Focus Features movie that we're about to talk about, and I was like, wow, Focus Features was on fire in the 2000s.
Yeah,
all 3 of these movies I'm thinking of were in the aughts, and they were killing it. But
21 Grams.
That's one of the movies I watched.
Oh shit! Sorry.
I
That's
actually I gotta give it to you. That was impressive.
On my list as well of my list of movies.
I would love to see it again.
And also, while we're bringing up Reese Witherspoon, real quick shout out to Jessica Campbell from Election. Was lost last week.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Yeah, we enjoyed it. We watched her we watched that movie recently on the show and enjoyed her performance extra. And we talked about where did she go? Was she had gone on to become I believe like some sort of bacteriologist, some sort of doctor, and that's what she was doing when she passed away. So
that's
rest in peace.
Rest in power, Jessica.
Wow, that's a shame. Yeah, she gave us that performance, and we'll always have it. That's what's great about celluloid is it gives us these forever moments in time. Yeah. All right, don't forget if you've watched movies that you want to watch and maybe talk about. Email us, cinema9pod, protonmail.com, or DM us on Instagram or Twitter, or whatever you feel like doing, comment on the Facebook page, the listener's choice. We're still battling it out with our game of selection, so don't give up on that. Remember to keep it on the same thread. No shares, no repeats. It's got to remain in a singular thread. Correct, Travis?
That is correct.
It's very important that you do that. All right.
Please don't share our material on the social media.
Wait, whoa. Someone say, no, guys, whatever you do, don't share it with other people. Keep this as quiet to yourself if you could.
Secrets.
All right, well, it's time. This is Eric Branstrom's choice. It's called The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. 2004 film directed by Michel Gondry and written by the one and only Charlie Kaufman, starring Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet as the main stars of this film, with the co-star galore of Tom Wilkinson and Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Kirsten Dunst. So, I don't know where to begin here. Let's begin how I always do. Let's take it back in time. This movie, we were all in our 20s when this movie came out. So we had lived a little bit of life. We'd been burned a few times. We've had some sadness, some relationships, I'm sure. Travis, did you see this film in theaters or did you catch it on DVD later on?
I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters. I'm honestly not 100% sure, but I know this is one that I absorbed. Like I practically got it tattooed on me. I really bit into this one and made it part of me.
Did you go around saying this?
Why do I fall in love with every woman I see who shows me the least bit of attention?
I mean, there were parts of Joel Barish that spoke like that. They seemed like they were written for me. And I think that was true for a lot of guys my age at that time.
Sure.
It very much was an emotionally resonant movie for me, and I held it very important and close to me, and watched it a lot. And yet, at the same time, watching it the night before last felt both really familiar, and also I'm like, what the fuck is Kirsten Dunst doing in this? She's in this movie? Like, I just no recollection of Kirsten Dunst being in the movie. I had no recollection of Elijah Wood being in the movie. Like, I remember Ruffalo, but I just had zero recollection of that B plot that takes place in the movie. And it had been a while. Like, it came out in 2004. I watched it a lot for probably a good 5 years or so, but then I haven't watched it since. So.
Wow, yeah, I wish I could forget that he's in that movie because he's creepy in this movie. Creepy as fuck. I'll give him that, Elijah Wood.
Patrick, baby boy, baby boy.
What an asshole. Eric Branstrom, you chose this film. I have a feeling you saw this in theaters.
Wow, this was a wild experience. So 2004 is historically the worst year of my life by far. I live completely inside my own head. I somehow go from like a total extrovert to a complete introvert. It's still that way. In just a handful of years, this happened. So I've got isolation and loneliness, dissatisfaction with my place in the world. And I'm comforted by these movies where the main character is also miserable. You know, miserable loves company. So if I watch this and I watch Sideways that year, I feel cozy. It helps me feel less alone. So when I walk out of the theater in 2004, I weep in my car for like 20 straight minutes. And I really don't know why. And that's what this movie does for me. It helps me relate to these circumstances. All right. I can't understand them most of the time, but I can absolutely relate to them. And it makes me feel a certain way. I was surprised how I felt on this recent viewing. So I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Wow. That's it's very honest. We appreciate that. That's very powerful stuff. And 2004 was a year of transition for me. I remember that. It was some good times that I had. And I lived in Charleston, South Carolina that year. That was fun. But I definitely didn't see this movie. I was kind of out on my own, trying out some new things, and I didn't really go to the theater at all in Charleston that I can recall, except of course, Travis, for when I saw our favorite movie, Something's Got to Give, by myself in the theater. That's the one thing I remember about the theater in Charleston. That movie. I don't think I saw many others, but I saw this a couple of years later. Really, everybody was talking about it, constant chatter about
Which we know for you means I'm not gonna fucking watch that movie then.
Right?
Yeah, particularly in my 20s, I was very much fuck that. Yeah, so I contrared immediately and continued, and eventually I saw it on DVD. I think around 2010ish, and I thought it was pretty good. I felt it was a pretty impressive and powerful film. Spoke to me in ways that it would speak to other people, not just Joel, but the whole relationship thing and. Trying to forget and move forward. Everybody, I feel really bad for Kirsten Dunst's character in that time too. So yeah, that was my experience. And since then it wasn't something I put on like repeat for sure. But as far as the IMDb score and taking a look at some of the critics' ratings, I have not looked at the scores. I'm going to say this is a very, very beloved movie. I'm going to say it's like a 7-8. That's my guess.
That's exactly the number in my head. I'm going to say a 7-8 as well.
I'll say, I'll say 7-8 too. I think you guys nailed it.
Did we all see it? If it's
No, we didn't.
we all just saw it. What is it?
Actually, it's an 8.3, even higher.
Oh my God.
That's elite territory.
That's
upper echelon.
Yeah, that's over 900,000 ratings too. This is a lot. People obviously have a connection with this film, and there's something about it that Gondry and Kaufman's script, obviously. I mean, people love Kaufman. This is coming off adaptation too, right? So
that was why I was quick to see this one, because I had adaptation had made Kaufman famous, and this was his follow up to it. So people were
the peak.
Yeah, people were on it.
Yeah, I remember when. I remember the night Eric came into the dump and was proclaiming that adaptation was life affirming. I can never forget it. Being in the kitchen at the dump that night, he was just so excited about it. 2002, 93% on the thermometer, 94% from the audience. So a dead heat, beloved, overwhelmingly. I don't know why anyone would criticize this movie at this point.
Are there any negative reviews?
You look at this, it's just a lot of red tomatoes, my friend. There are an occasional one. There's a. There's 13 pages, so that's kind of high. Again, we had the 15-page one recently, which was the highest I'd ever seen. So Film Threat says, the reality is that Hollywood is such an idea. Poor place, Kaufman. What? Is this English? That's what it says. The reality is that Hollywood is such an idea. Poor place, Kaufman tends to get more credit than he deserves for work, which only occasionally rises above the level of mind games and showy sleight of hand.
No more reading unedited reviews on the show.
What an asshole.
Before they post.
Yeah, it's on Rotten Tomatoes. They should be edited. These people are idiots. Not cool. But generally, it's well received. I mean, you would expect everybody to be like, yeah, woohoo, yeah, this movie changed my life. Oh, my God, it's so honest about relationships and yada, yada, yada. What can you say? Am I wrong, right? Isn't this the greatest movie ever made?
Is that all we're going to say about it? Is that the end of the episode?
Yeah, I thought we were done. We're wrapping it up. So actually, I'm trying to find Destin Thompson, so I'm kind of vamping here, but talking about reviews. We have a overwhelmingly positive slate. Look at this. Top critic from Slate himself, David Edelstein, says, "This is the best movie I've seen in a decade. For once, it's no hyperbole to say unforgettable! Exclamation point." And this is from 2004 when it came out. So.
I think a lot of that is well, I don't know if I'm going to say the fact, but in my opinion, it doesn't have a lot of, or if any, plot holes. You can't really criticize it on a story level, and definitely can't criticize it on a technical level or your performances. So there's really nothing you can say about it unless you're bringing your own maybe negative experiences to the table and projecting them onto the picture.
Ooh, but what if you find the picture to be a negative experience in and of itself?
And it's not the movie's. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not the movie's fault, but
that sounds like a pretty subjective statement.
Wow. Well, Roger Ebert says that despite jumping through the deliberately disorienting hoops of its story, Eternal Sunshine has an emotional center, and that's what makes it work. 3.5 out of 4 stars from old Roger. It's that emotional center, despite the chaos and maybe not knowing where we are at some point. I mean, we're in some type of memory that gets jumping through memories. It could be very confusing, and I do find that what he says there is kind of true. That despite not knowing where you are at times, it does have an emotional center that's very powerful. Real quick, Terry Lawson from the Detroit Free Press says, "What's lacking is what the movie is ostensibly about. The heart that so often leads us to fall in love with the wrong people at the wrong time." So it's lacking that.
Lacking heart. Okay.
Yeah.
Terry coming in hot.
Yeah, I couldn't find Destin, by the way, guys. I'm sorry, Destin. Destin, if you're out there, you listen to the show and you have a review for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, please forward it. Destin. Protonmail.com. Thanks.
You could argue that it's about meeting the wrong people at the right time, because it's all about life experience and what that does for you in the long run, gives you wisdom, blah, blah, blah.
Is it?
How so? Yeah.
Is that what it's about?
I'm not saying that's what it's about, but
you could argue.
Really, I think that's one.
I think it'd be awesome if that's what it was about. That sounds like a very powerful and important movie, but I don't know that that's what it's about.
Well, I mean, Travis, I feel like you're going in a different direction, which I might be.
Well, no, I'm not ready to. I'm not sure that I'm ready to unpack that. I just feel like Eric is making these statements that are kind of, I don't think this movie's above reproach. Okay, let me. That's where I'm going. There is stuff I think to criticize in this movie, and obviously it's an extraordinarily well-made movie at the same time. And you're right about the performances and the technical proficiency at the same time. So I don't know, got some feelings, and we'll unpack them as we get going.
Okay, that was Eric Branchcombe-esque what you just did there, Travis. Very good. I think that we should talk about, do we always know what's happening in this movie? Because on my second watch here, I became more confused than I was the first time. And I'm trying to keep track of what's real and what's not. And does that even matter, though? That's not the point of this film. I know that. But I found myself getting more confused trying to keep up with, did they get back together? Are they together? What's happening? I really don't know. I was lost. I was honestly lost by the end. And it kind of just left me, what's happening? And I got caught up in that a little bit more than I thought I would.
I thought it was actually handled pretty well. I could see where one could get lost. But for me, because up until the credit sequence, up until Beck's cover of the Corgis, Everybody's Got to Learn Sometime, which is one of the best covers it's just amazing. It's just gorgeous. But everything up to that moment is what happens the second meeting, right? When they actually meet in Montauk. So it's actually towards the end of the whole experience, right? So that's everything up until there. And then we get the credits, and then we get the beginning of the thing. We get basically him learning that she's deleted him from her memory, and he goes and gets the same thing done, and we get the whole thing. We get the whole enchilada, and then we come full circle towards the end, and we pick up where we had left off, basically with after their second meeting, and them actually figuring out what's going on with their life once Kirsten Dunst has sent out the audio tapes.
Yeah, and they give you kind of a visual companion with Clementine's hair, because every time her hair is blue, it's in what I guess you could call like the real world. And when she has different colored hair, that's when they're in Joel's head and he's trying to protect her from the extraction.
Which, by the way, Blue Ruin, that must be a Jeremy Saulnier reference. Like that must be where he got that, because like there's no that phrase does not come up in that movie once.
From easily what I thought
it's
of.
from Tom Waits' song, and they show the Rain Dog CD.
Oh, is it from Rain Dog? Oh, okay, that's cool.
Is that true?
I don't remember which lyric that is, but I believe you.
How am I not myself?
Oh.
I don't know. Look, so did the beginning of the movie, did that happen? Did they meet on Montauk at a party or singularly alone on a day off?
No. So initially, when they originally met back in the day, which we see at the end of his, like memory, because we get the relationship in reverse. This movie's a lot like Memento, and not just that it's about memory, but that we're seeing the story in reverse. So we get like the end of their relationship first. This is the last time I saw you. And then they have like this hellish fucking whatever. And then by the end of the movie, we get the first time they meet, and that's the big party at Montauk. And then, then she goes through the same experience that he does. This is something I've always loved about this movie, is that the her that he's interacting with in his mind is, of course, him, right? It's just his own psyche that he's interacting with. But but they decide meet me in Montauk, which means that she goes through the same thing just a night or two before when she goes to delete him, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, there's some inception in this movie. They're projections of your own consciousness. They're not really those people. So
yeah,
maybe that's where inception got it from.
Well, you want to talk about? I mean, for me, I was thinking about Tenet a lot while I was watching this, because I'm like, this is a mind bender that's actually fun to watch. And then when I watch Tenet, I'm just like, fuck this. I'm not even really that entertained. But you bring something interesting up, because this is something, and I was going to get to it, that has kind of always bothered me a little bit about the film, if I may get into it early on. The fact that Clementine seems to have gone through the procedure without any protest kind of never really sat that well with me, because it makes it hard for me to get into their romantic relationships in terms of them being soulmates. I don't like the fact that she wanted to go through it, went through it, and that was that, until Joel stepped in and tried to, do his thing and get them reunited.
Well, so that was kind of that was a big impression I had on this viewing, that I don't think they're soulmates at all. Not remotely. In fact, like the other reviewer, I think that they're quite wrong for each other.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was left watching the movie wondering is the movie saying that, relationship, like you're gonna be miserable in your relationship, so you might as well be with who you love, or is the movie saying that relationships all just cause misery and we make the choice to be in them anyways? Like, I was kind of like, this is like some really kind of bleak stuff. Like the movie itself is incredibly sad, and which I've always felt that way. But I always felt like the ending redeemed it because they get together. But in this viewing, I'm like, I don't think that they should be together.
Oh no, and they know it. But I think it's about taking a chance and being in the moment, for sure. And
that's why they get emotional when they both say "okay" at the end. Okay.
That's the saddest part for me. If I may, there's a C.S. Lewis quote that I like: "Let our hearts break, provided they break together." And that's essentially what they're doing. Is they're breaking up together, like twice in a row, and it's heartbreakingly sad. But I like the impact that it makes in terms of just living in the moment and doing what you feel in your heart, right or wrong.
What about the message in this film that you may be connected to somebody without knowing that you've been manipulated into it? I think about Clementine and scumbaggy Patrick, what he's done to manipulate her into kind of being with him, even though it doesn't work out for him, which is good. I'm glad that goes that way. But there's more to it than that. There are other ways to manipulate people, and you can find yourself connected to someone and sometimes not really know why that is. And I think there's a real lot of deep. This is a deep end here where this is going on in this film, and it freaks me out too, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, when it comes to a Patrick character, this is dipshit, like 21-year-old kid. So trying to manipulate someone for love or lust, that's one thing. What really bothers me is the Tom Wilkinson character, and I never really thought about it until this recent viewing. He pushes Mary into deciding to delete the affair. He doesn't undergo the procedure, and yet he says, we decided that this was the best thing to do, and makes her undergo it, and it really fucks her up.
Yeah, it does. That's true. And but then there he is again, back with her. I know he gets called into the situation, and are they saying that despite our best intentions, we still get attracted to the same people and over again too with that situation? Because now she will know the truth, and unless she gets her memory erased again, she will not have that happen again. But she had it cleared against her own will, so that's why it didn't take, because deep down she still had this passion for him.
Yeah, I mean, who we're attracted to, I think that tends to, I don't know that a lot's going to change that. Like, I mean, if she hadn't undergone that, I mean, she was attracted to him initially without ever having had some sort of experience that she didn't remember, right?
That's what I mean, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know, man. Like the movie, as I went through a pretty serious breakup, a very prolonged thing in my life over the course of the past year and whatnot. And this was not a movie that like I would have voluntarily sat down to watch with all of this having been recently in my life. But maybe it's good that I did in a way, because I also kind of felt like watching it before, or maybe it's just the fact that I was so much younger, I overlooked a lot of things in the sake of romanticization that I didn't do this time. You know what I mean? Like like, and so it affected me really differently. And I don't know if that's like intentional on the filmmaker's part or not. But yeah, I think it's really easy to maybe read the movie wrong, or at least read it in a way that like it's just like, yep, love is hell and that's beautiful, and like, ugh, God, that's toxic as fuck. Because part of the movie to me seems like this is about a toxic couple staying together.
Yeah. Oh, it totally is. It absolutely is. In fact, that's why I'm more interested in talking about the other characters and their relationships or their stories in this film, because I don't fucking care about Clementine and Joel. I don't.
They kind of suck.
Yeah, I have no interest in them. They turn me off, both of them. Nobody is. Yeah, they're both equally guilty in this situation, and I found myself like responded. By the end of the film, I found myself like not giving a shit. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I mean, I've never liked the Clementine character. She admits that she's impulsive, like that's some sort of an excuse for constantly like devaluating Joel and just kind of being I don't know. I don't want to throw an adjective out there, but
passive aggressive as fuck.
Oh, the thank you note in the beginning, like someone's going to get to the car and be like, even if they had done it, they'd be like, thank you for what? Like what? But also, I think Joel is cruel. I mean, he's cruel. Like he's like just quiet, and then he doesn't really talk, and then she'll try and like be like sweet, and he'll just like say just the worst, most hurtful thing.
Right.
Like, when she's talking about being kids, like, you really think you could be a good mother? Like, what the fuck? And also this movie like makes for some really uncomfortable watching, because like, as someone who has been in that kind of relationship, like that kind of arguing to me, it feels like actual hell. Like if I go to hell, it's going to be like this ongoing relationship fight that I just can't get out of. And we're just talking past each other. And like those scenes in the beginning of the movie are just like, I just can't. I can hardly even fucking do it. And so part of me is like,
God, man.
Like it's easy to like be like, oh, this is all so sweet when you watch the relationship in reverse and you get to the beginning and there's all this promise. That's
then you hear those tapes at the end that they both fucking talk shit about each other, and it's like they really don't belong.
And Joel means that shit about she fucks people to make them like her. He says that to Wilkinson. Like that's not just a barb that he throws at her to be mean. Like he believes it.
Yeah, he comes out with all these little things of, she's not a book reader. She's the type who reads magazines. He's an elitist asshole in his head, even though he outwardly tries to look to other people like, oh, I'm just nobody. But inside, he thinks he's the shit on certain levels.
But they get to this point where like, and again, like too close to home, please turn the movie off. They get to this point where it's like everything he says annoys her, or everything she says annoys him, and every touch that he does annoys her. You know what I mean? Like just every move that either one of them makes, it's just like irritating, like rolling their eyes at the dying dead, right? And it's just like, God, like this is just excruciating.
Yeah, we're talking about the Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind on the Cinema 9 pod here, and if you've ever seen this movie, I hope you know what we're talking about, because there are so many facets of this film that you could dive into, and it is powerful. It probably does trigger people, because it does seem like Kaufman almost wrote this out by listening through someone's like wall or something, or like an apartment next door. He heard some people arguing. It's very true to life what they're doing, and they're not for each other. So that's why I don't care. I see it clearly now. I'm older now. Maybe that's given me a perspective, because I don't remember exactly feeling that same way the first time I watched it.
Yeah, that was my thinking too, is that age kind of changed my perspective.
I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those are true. That's why there are cliches. You get older, you get wiser, you learn from the things you've done, the people you've dated, and you're like, wow, that was a terrible idea. And sometimes you think you love, I know this for a fact in my own life with 100% clarity. I loved someone crazily, but I looked back years later and said, whoo, boy, I dodged a bullet there, man. I did. I know. I can see. This was like 12 years ago. I was like, wow, I lucked out, man. And at the time, it was everything to me.
Right.
I mean, I think the movie is sweet in its scenes where it should be, because I mean, the romantic and sweet loving scenes are that romantic rose-colored glasses period. That's the first thing in their lifetime. And I mean, in a perfect world, we would get, like you said, Travis, a look into Clementine's head, and you might have some opportunities for them to, I don't know, maybe actually lay out their grievances and try to meet each other in the middle. But all we have is Joel getting the benefit of this Clementine avatar helping him through his shit. We don't get to see her perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
But we do know that. I mean, we know that she went through something similar, because she goes to Montauk on Valentine's Day. Which again, this is a Valentine's Day movie. Oh, all right, it's a Valentine's.
It is. Yeah, I thought that's why he picked it, because we're not at Valentine's Day, but
we're I think that was.
We're in the ballpark. And it's winter.
They make a crack about Valentine's in the beginning. I mean, it's a commerce crack.
By the way, I double checked, and it is not a holiday made by the Hallmark Company. It goes all the way back to ancient Rome. It is a very very old holiday, which I kind of thought but so dead wrong, Joel, and your snotty supposedly knowing things.
Fuck that.
Eat shit, Joel.
I had a thought as I was watching the movie.
Baby Joel too.
Yeah, I had a thought as I was watching the movie. What now, Hollywood wouldn't do this. They wouldn't make this movie. That's why it didn't happen. But I imagine watching, there's this point that happens in the movie where he suddenly realizes hey, I want out of this. I want out. And he changes his mind, right?
Yeah.
And from that point they come up with the idea hide me in different memories and stuff. And the movie takes an interesting turn at that point. But part of me is what a healthier movie this could have been if the whole goal, point of the movie for him is to learn that that you can't that the loss that we feel, the pain that we feel, is proportionate to the love and joy that we felt, and to try and to delete those things from our life is to delete our whole life. To make the lesson of the movie to be about the importance of heartache and depression and pain, and how that could actually improve you and make you better, and have nothing to do with Clementine getting back together with Clementine, none of that shit, but having the movie being about coming to the realization that emotional pain actually serves a very crucial function in our life. I'm like, what an incredible movie that could have been. And if I had internalized that, not to blame this movie for the emo shit that I had, because there's all kinds of stuff I could go back to and blame besides that, like The Cure and Afghan Wigs. But I was always someone that romanticized emotional anguish, and I think it's shit like this that kind of helps me do that. It helped me do that, and maybe other people too.
Validated it, encouraged it.
It gives you a chance an opportunity to ruminate in it and see it reflected in a way that is visually appealing and even entertaining and quotable, and you can connect with other people on it, right?
That's why movies are so powerful, right? And that's why it's so important that we have equal representation in film, because films project our lives in a sense, whether we want to admit that or not. They do, and people look up to movies, some more unhealthily than others. And in this case, you're right. Yeah, maybe not this movie for me, but this one's for you. There's other movies I can think of that were like, oh, why did I put myself into the shoes of that person like it was me and validate it further and drown myself into the sorrow and the negativity. And I also think this movie does a poor job of like any kind of recognition of mental health issues that these people are going through. Like there's doctors involved and stuff, but there's no mention of any of that. They don't want to go in that direction with this film either.
And the doctor's a quack anyways. I mean, he's not like...
Oh, he's a doofus, yeah. But you would think maybe some people would go see some regular doctors and psychologists or psychiatrists to talk about stuff first. And that would seem to be actually a pretty important part of this movie for these types of characters. But what the hell do I know?
Yeah, I don't know if, again, I don't know that level of emotional growth makes for great movie watching, but I think it would have been...
I don't even know what to do with it. Yeah, I'm just like spitballing here.
Same. Yeah, same.
I think they intentionally steered away from the direction of that and more into just kind of like a quirky type of thing. I mean, this type of technology in this rinky-dink office with one, like 2 employees in these little mailer cards you send out to people.
It's being John Malkovich.
Yeah, I think they went for the Malkovich route where you, instead of just thinking about it, you can relate and laugh with it and have fun with it.
Whose hair did you like better? Ruffalo's hair or Cusack's hair in Malkovich?
I like
Dig
Ruffalo's
it.
better in this
I
one.
do. I dig Ruffalo. And Ruffalo,
Ruffalo, yeah.
the character, I'm curious about him. He seems like a good guy.
I like seeing him getting smacked down when he honks the horn. Which, what are you going to do if you're in that situation? Like, he honks the horn to interrupt them, even though he likes the girl. He's like trying to help her out and help his boss out. Like,
yeah,
it's a terrible situation. Then she comes and smacks him down, and he also like he has it coming.
That's true. But he's obviously a dutiful worker for the doctor or the quack, wherever the fuck he is. But at the same time, do you really believe him when he talks to Kirsten Dunst's character when she's got the box and she's leaving? Like, did you really know? And he's like, no, I swear. I don't know if I really believed him because he's the guy doing like all the dirty work for this guy. There's nobody else.
It just seems to me like a job for him. Like, he's getting stone drunk and like partying while like extracting he's basically doing futuristic lobotomy.
I see that more
while
for
like getting stoned fucking around.
I see that more for Patrick than him. Patrick's the one who's really fucking around.
No,
if you start to look at the levels of fuckery.
I agree with Eric. I think they're both fucking around. I'm like he's the more technically like astute dude, but he's still like hand me a beer. Like, this is just like, he's bringing like the girl over that he likes and stuff. He's fucking around. He's dancing around in his underwear and shit and drinking the guy's food.
He shocked me.
Yeah,
he shocked me
he's
when
around big time.
When Patrick says he stole her panties, and Ruffalo's like, how could you do this? And then suddenly they start laughing with each other. And that shocked me. I actually didn't remember that because I thought Ruffalo continues to admonish him, but then he joins him in the laughter. I was like, oh,
if this movie came out today, he would be like, what the fuck, dude? That's gross.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it.
But yeah, instead, like pretty much every character in this movie kind of sucks except for Kirsten Dunst, I would say.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, Travis. Tell me, sorry, I hate to cut you off. What do you like about the character? Because I've got a big problem with one of her choices.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just found her, like, I mean, she's, I just found her kind of believable in her admiring of an older man who's like intelligent and like she's not attracted to his body, she's attracted to his mind kind of thing. But at the same time, as I was watching it, like, I feel like she's, and this is maybe an unfair thing to say, but she's like, I think she was like too fucking famous for the role. Like, they needed somebody, like, it's almost distracting that she's like so famous and like this like third like kind of like B-roll character. It was just kind of like, it seemed like it could have been someone like Amy Adams at that time would have been perfect. Like, she was kind of just getting started. She was fresh off of Catch Me If You Can. So she would have been a recognizable face, but not like, hey, it's the woman who kisses Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like,
that didn't bother me at all. But
I mean, I admit that's nitpicky, but like, it just seems like she should have a bigger role. I don't know.
I thought she did a great job in the role that she had, and she maximized it. It never bothered me that it was her or anything. And I don't know if there's another underlying thing going on here that people don't like her as an actress or not. I'm not sure, but
I like her as an actress. I just found her distracting in the role. Go ahead, Eric.
I was only distracted by her unmerciful beauty while I was trying to think of a story. But I mean, for me, the end of the movie when she blows it for everyone and gives out the tapes and essentially disassembles Lacuna. I mean, she thinks that her experience is superior to everyone else's, so she has to.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I've never liked that part. Granted, she's right. Probably like 25-year-old kid, and emotions this and emotions that, but.
I would have been more pissed about it if I knew what the fuck was going on at that point. I'm like, I was lost. I was truly lost. And they're listening to these tapes of each other, which I know are real, but I'm like, is this happening now? Is it not? I had no idea. And I just didn't care anymore. I really didn't.
Everything, like Eric said, everything with the blue hair was happening. Them meeting in Montauk singly alone, that happened, and then she takes him to the Charles because she's trying to like recreate this experience of the Charles River. Like that's why she takes Elijah Wood there, and then like it doesn't go well, so she's like meets another guy the next day. And she's like, I'll take this guy, and let's see if it works with him, and then it does. So all that stuff is actually happening.
Beats me. I had no idea, and I didn't care anymore. And as you know, by the time I'm supposed to keep track, it's like paint by numbers. Like, yeah, what color? Okay, hold on, wait, what color does she have right now? And I just don't think that was something. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they did that. I suppose, but
were you? But Mike, sorry, but like, you did like enjoy watching the film? The mind bending stuff and the fact that you were kind of confused didn't just make it a chore for you, like something like. Excuse me again, but like something like Tenet was exhausting for me because I came to just not give a fuck. But
yeah, maybe if I'd watched Tenet and then watched this, I would have been like, oh, this is easy. Yeah, but I didn't. I didn't have that. So currently watching this film, and I understand what Travis says when they try to jump from memory to memory. That I was like, okay, I see what they're doing, and their baby Joel's taking a bath in the sink, and yeah, all right, we'll hide in this memory, and they won't find us, and I can keep you a part of my psyche forever. I got that part, but then there was just a certain point where suddenly I'm like, what's real and what's not? And I just couldn't put it back together. I really couldn't. And at that point, that's when I started to lose interest. And like I said, by the time I got to the end, I didn't give a fuck. And I was like, turning this off. I literally said out loud, who cares? I did say that.
So the whole idea of like, the friends like David Cross, like social contracts and lying by omission. If you get a card like this, are you going to tell your friend that he's been erased, or are you going to, keep the dream alive and let this shit play out?
I mean, also, can you imagine like being their friends and like they get back together and you have to explain all this shit to them? Be like,
yeah,
like I've been like how fucking frustrating for that couple. But,
it's great though. David Cross, even the small role, still made me laugh when he's building the birdhouse. I'm sorry, dear.
I also, and on the same, I was very happy. This Thomas J. Ryan who plays Henry Fool.
Yes.
That's who that is.
I remember you're just getting it. I had the exact opposite experience. The first time I saw this movie, like you hear his voice, and immediately I'm like, "It's fucking Henry Fool."
I'm like, it's not Chris Parnell. Who the fuck is that guy?
Damn thing about it.
That's it.
Mick Romance. Am I right?
I was like, is that Parnell? Is that Bruce Thompson? Who the fuck is that?
It's Henry Fool or Thomas J.
Ryan.
I immediately had the same reaction, Travis. Like, there he was. Holy shit! Good to see him.
That voice.
But he's got that voice. And yeah, the social contract thing is actually pretty interesting, Eric. I'm glad you brought that up before we ended the show because I wonder what I would do myself. And I also feel for a man who's supposed to be friends. If him and Joel are supposed to be friends too, and this guy's in agony because he has no idea. He walks up to her. He loves her. Yeah. Gives her a gift. She doesn't know who he is. And then she kisses another dude right in front of him. Let's look at that for just a moment. That's pure agony. That's torture.
Oh my God.
That I give it a lot of credit for. I'm like, that is just so God. I don't want to live that experience. But if he's feeling that tortured and clueless, he deserves to have a hint eventually. So I think I do side with Cross's decision.
Do you think that if this service existed, people would use it?
Yes.
Wow, that's a big one. Yeah, and what does their Yelp score look like?
Every time I watch this movie, one of the things that I think of most, and this is because I'm a dog lover, is that woman that's sitting next to him with her dog stuff. And I'm like, what kind of monster would want to delete the dog from their memory? That was like that whole fucking
too painful. Too painful, man.
It's too painful. So yeah, I think people would use this option as well, but I don't think they would be very happy about it.
No, it's classic. Like the intention is pure, but then it doesn't work out how you think it would.
Yeah. So thinking of this movie in 2004, This seems like so perfect for Jim Carrey, right? Like, even though he doesn't do a ton of dramas, even in 2004, like this is one of the ones that really helped tip him in that direction. And I have a really hard time imagining anyone else in this role who could have done this.
Wow, yeah, it's a tough one.
Well, I mean, I think the Truman Show gave him that shove too.
Right?
And,
No, yeah, absolutely. And Man on the Moon. I mean, for sure. Like he'd been, and he'd already done the Majestic before this too. So it's not like he was a stranger to drama.
But he truly doesn't do. He doesn't do a single like Carreyism in this movie. He truly doesn't, and
This
he
is
still
just
does
some
that
sad
Truman
sack
Show.
shit.
And yeah,
Which, by the way, I watched him and Gondry reunited for that show Kidding on Showtime, which I've watched the first season, and it's really, really good. I haven't gotten to the second season yet, but I loved that first season. I thought it was
I would concur on that as well. Correct.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I don't know. You ask us on the spot here. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who could fill this role, but he does a great job, and he deserves the praise.
Well, let's look at some of Charlie Kaufman's past, his cohort. Nick Cage, John Cusack. I think they can both pull it off.
No way.
These actors, they changed the characters anyway. I guess there was a lot of improvisation allowed on set, and I think a lot of the personality of the actors comes through. So they would have probably made it their own, and not necessarily on the script.
That could be it. That could speak to why the role seems so perfect for him, because so much of it is him, perhaps.
That's true.
But he was going through a really dark depression before he filmed this, and Michel Gondry, fucking guy, literally tells him to not seek help until they're done filming the movie. So,
ew.
Yeah.
Well, this is definitely like his standout, because you look during that period. I mean, Bruce Almighty. I like Bruce Almighty. That was fun. But,
number 23. Come on, number 23.
Number 23.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's funny. Fun with Dick and Jane. Anybody? I don't know.
Majestic.
I like Fun with Dick and Jane.
Yeah, he does the Majestic, and to me that flopped. I never even saw it.
I actually turned that one off.
Sucks.
See, he turned. Yeah, and then he does this after, and this is like, wow, okay, he's got it, and he could have gone anywhere with this, and it kind of just didn't. I don't know. He could have kept doing even more dramatic and powerful roles like this, but maybe he chose not to because he likes to have fun too. I don't know. Hollywood's a fucked up world.
I think it was a pivotal moment in his career, because I think it kind of put him in this sense where, like, we haven't known exactly what to do with him as an audience, I think, since, to be honest. I mean, like, because I loved him in Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think that he's good for stuff like that. And I think
we love Yes Man, Travis, you and I. That worked quite well. And he's actually kind of depressed in that movie. He's kind of got a little bit of Joel of him in that film.
And he does in Kidding as well, which is again, as we said, really, really great stuff. But yeah, maybe it's just his career, Hollywood kind of ebbs and flows, but like it seemed like this was a bit of a high watermark for him.
But Kate Winslet deserves all the praise too. Even if you don't like her character, that's what proves what a great actress she is. She admits it so fluidly. I watched Little Children, like I said, a couple weeks ago, and I was thinking about that movie and this movie, and those are both, I think it was 2006, so same time period. And she's so good. She's probably the best actresses of the last 25 years. She really is that good. I would say that clearly.
I mean, in the running. I agree with you that she's in the running. I mean, she's a strong actor. For me,
she's not flashy or anything. She's not.
But yeah, I agree. She's pretty great.
She looks like a Parker Posey. Right, there you go.
She looks Parker Posey's attractive. That's not the same thing as being a great actor.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're not talking about looks.
Kate Winslet gets dinged. I think, in my opinion, that because she's not like this super beauty. I don't know. She's a good-looking, beautiful woman. She is. She already is. But you know what I'm saying in the Hollywood aspect of, like, Charlize Theron is like a beautiful goddess physically, and she's also a great actor.
Incredibly talented actor at the same time.
Incredibly talented. But Kate Winslet, to me, is just that classic hardworking actress who will do anything in the vein of Meryl Streep. I really believe that. I think there is a fair comparison between the two of them. They'll jump into anything, and they can almost fit into anything and not make it about them either.
I think that's a really good comparison. I'd throw Cate Blanchett into that mix too, in terms of being just incredibly talented and could do just any role.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw Silkwood, like I said a couple weeks ago, I was like, wow, That's amazing. And I could see Kate Winslet doing or Kate Blanchett doing it. And I think Kate Winslet deserves a lot of credit for this film because she could have done Titanic and just fucked off. But she dug down into her career and she did roles like this. And I think she said this is like one of her personal favorites of all her roles. So I'm glad that it worked out this way. But we're talking about this movie a lot. Any final thoughts? Because it's about that time, gentlemen. It's about time to come to a decision on this one. And I have no idea how this is going to go because nobody's revealed their hand.
No, you need to go first then, because you're always making one of us go first so you can choose. You can like pick afterwards. You should go first this time.
I'm happy to go first. And for the record, I have gone first on this show. I can show you the archives.
You don't need to show me. I already know.
Okay.
I would like to say one thing that we didn't address that deserves heavy praise in my book is the score from John Bryan. John Bryan's. I mean, like he's a fantastic composer, and he had a real moment in the early 2000s. But I think he makes the movie work in a lot of ways. He's this steady thread running through the movie that's just so competent and pretty. This is a pretty score. So I'd like to give him a shout out before we wrap things up here.
And it's fun. It's buoyant, and it's not. I mean, you could go a lot of different ways to score this film and these thematic elements, and he keeps it buoyant and fun, and awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah, this is a lovely score. You're right. I'm glad you said that, Travis, because if we had left that out, I would have felt really bad. In particular, I like the guitar picking little part when they're on the beach and stuff like that, and things are happier. That's fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's he hits like some really good emotional notes without it being overwhelming. But it's also one of those scores that it's just there through the whole fucking movie. Like it doesn't go away hardly at all, which that doesn't always lend itself to good work. But
no, you're right. God, I was just thinking about that about another movie recently. I wish I could remember what it was. Shit. Anyways,
well, John Bryan does Magnolia's score, and that conversely, that's one that's just constantly thudding and thudding throughout the entire film. It works, but he can not have to do that and still come up with a gorgeous piece of work.
Yeah. Well, he also did. I believe he did I Heart Huckabees, which is a lot more of a normal kind of approach to scoring.
Oh, Huckabees.
We got to talk. If I may, I'd like to talk maybe just 30 seconds about Michel Gondry, because I gave him some crap about his behavior on set, but his choice to do all this practical is mind-blowing when you start looking into it. You've got characters walking from set to set. It's all in camera. There's very few CG effects, just maybe the cars falling and some of the houses and stuff on the beach falling apart, but mostly they're going from set to set during these elements in the mind, and it's all practical and fucking looks awesome.
Clearly, Michel Gondry, genius, legendary. Well, he's not legendary, but he's a fine filmmaker.
Be Kind Rewind, Mike, you a fan?
Actually, Most Def, Jack Black.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in a long time. Actually, I remember not loving it. I remember not loving it.
Oh wow, whatever. I always like Most Def. I thought he was going to explode, but I have not seen him in probably since Be Kind Rewind.
I think I remember mostly they remade a RoboCop scene in that film. That's why I liked it, but otherwise I didn't care. All right, so yeah, you want to know, bottom line, guys, you all listen to this show, everyone, to find out, does the film hold up or not? A Michel Gondry film starring Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet. I was very confused by the film. But is it fair to condemn a film because you're confused? I don't know if that's fair because the intention is good. The artwork is outstanding from all angles. And even it's based in New York, which always annoys me. But hey, that's fine. I shouldn't get caught up in that. I think that this film, it holds up. And I really didn't think I would say that. But I think it holds up because it makes you think, it's thought-provoking, and this could go on for generations. What's going on here, whether you agree with whether they belong together or not, or they're annoying, and all the other details with the ancillary characters around them, whether that matters, that might not matter, but you could watch this movie in 2035 and be like, oh, shit, and think about it and talk about it with people for hours about various angles of it. So, to my surprise, this film holds up.
Wow.
Who's next?
Eric, do you want to go? Or do you want me to go?
I'll go. This is a imaginative, wholly original piece of work. In my opinion, one of the best of the 2000s. It's got not only so many things to say on its own, but as we've talked about, so many elements that you can bring to the table based on maybe your own pain, maybe your own trauma, your own romantic experiences that hopefully you've grown from, like I have. One of the quotes I think Kirsten Dunst says in the film from Nietzsche is "Blessed are the forgetful, for they get the better even of their blunders," which is a beautiful way of saying that ignorance is bliss. And a lot of times that is very true. But for me, I think, it can also be a detriment. So when you look at a picture like this that threatens to take away things that are important elements of your life, it's something to think about. I absolutely think it holds up. I think it's a beautiful film.
All right. All right. It's on me then.
Well, the jury's in, but yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, I don't really need to if you guys both said it holds up, right?
No, that's not how that works. Come on, Travis. Let's hear
I
it.
gotta be honest with you. This is one of the harder choices I think I've made on the show. It stands out to me the way well, I don't want to. I mean, it stands out to me as one of the ones I think I've had a harder time than average deciding whether or not it holds up, because as we have made abundantly clear, this is an accomplishment of filmmaking. There's incredibly good acting, direction, editing, lighting, like the music, like every step of the way, there is above average filmmaking going on here. And I think that anybody that's never seen this movie is really missing out on, as Eric said, one of the major films from its era. I think it's an important movie. I also think that, as Eric said, to echo you a little bit, I think that what you bring to it is going to drastically affect your feelings on the movie more. I mean, this is true of all art, of course, but I think maybe some art more than others. And I think that this movie, as well made as it is, kind of does some I don't know how to phrase this. It kind of makes some points and kind of like leads you to these places that I think are borderline, I don't want to say dangerous, but not healthy for people like me, personally. And so this is a very personal feeling that I have in my assessment here. So
lack of accountability, right?
Yeah, bear that in mind. Of course, my opinion is my own, but and I'm coming to it with my own shit. But I think that that if you've seen this movie before, that you don't need to go through it again. And if you did, I don't think that you would get a ton necessarily out of it. And as the movie wore on, I started playing a video game on my phone. So I'm going to say this movie does not hold up for repeat viewings in the way that Memento, I want to put it that special Memento class, which is to say it's an important and good movie that everyone should watch, but I don't think it's something that you need to revisit.
Well, yeah, if we're talking repeatability, no, it doesn't hold up. But you need to, if you've never seen it, you have to watch it.
Oh, well, I thought that. I mean, for me, again, like the goalpost is always shifting on this fucking issue, like what the definition is. But for me, like I approach this as I watched this movie at some point in my life and I loved it, and now I'm watching it now and seeing, does it hold up for me? Do I still love it? And the answer is for me, no. Yeah. I'm sorry you guys don't like my input here, but that's how I
feel. Yeah, that's how I feel.
No, I think you're right.
What we do.
I think you're right. Because you were playing a video game. I was on my computer at the end of the movie, ignoring it. Same way. And so
you guys want to change your answers then?
You can't change it, Mike.
Oh, I can't?
We've already been over this. You can change your answers.
Tell me what to do.
We've already been over this. you can change your answer.
Oh, can I change my Cloud Atlas answer then? Because that does not hold up. It's boring as
Okay,
fuck.
well, yeah, we'll put a post more.
It should be in the same episode, but that's fine.
Oh, that's true.
Well, you put it, Travis. You put it so well, and
Yeah,
when you
that's
put
a
it in
good
the
point.
that you just did, I completely agree with that. I don't want to watch this movie again and again and again, and it does belong in the Memento class. So maybe we should start having classifications and like stratospheres of movies belong over here and here, and here's a categorization of this holding up
Really?
only
Yeah.
with this caveat, and this one holds up only depending on this.
There's
To
so
me,
many ways.
the does it hold up question is a binary question, yes or no. But I do think that there should be the Memento class, which is like everyone. It's a good movie. Everyone should watch it once,
Yes.
maybe twice.
Take a look. And remember how we all thought the game did not hold up, and we said that because at this point in time we don't really. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm not sure we thought that movie deserved the acclaim we gave to it in 1997. So that's also kind of what I do on these verdicts.
Yeah, I thought a lot about the game as well watching this because, or like since watching this because, like the game, like when you announced the game, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I love the game.
So
And then I'm like, "Oh, it turns out I hate the game." And like I did the same thing with this. Like I was like, "Fuck yeah, Eternal Sunshine! That is some classic American cinema. That's one of my favorite movies." And I'm like, I was all ready to like sit down and be like, "This movie's genius." And I just, like you said, I was surprised. It wasn't what I thought it was anymore, and it's surely me that's changed, not the movie. But I think I've changed for the better, and I think that's why I don't like the movie as much anymore.
There you go. I think that's great. I think this is the Memento class. Completely agree. I don't ever want to watch this movie again. I have no intentions of ever seeing this film again. But if you've never seen it, go see it, check it out, and then find out for your own. Because that's kind of like my rule for everything. Maybe there might be exceptions, but see movies, check them out.
10 years goes by, Travis, you're an old man. You could turn this on and feel completely different about it.
And if I'm in a podcast with you and where I'm forced to watch it again, then I might perhaps do that.
There's millions of movies, but for some reason we're doing the same movie again.
Does it still hold up?
Oh no! The sequel to this podcast.
They were just redoing all of our.
Yeah, we redo it. The game, total masterpiece.
We still have 20 listeners.
All right, well there it is, folks. I don't know how we came to a conclusion on there necessarily. We'll listen to this after the fact, but I will tell you this: we appreciate you guys listening to the show. Cinema 9
class we created a whole new qualification. Apparently,
we did. Yeah, this movie. Well, at the very least, we can all agree this movie's thought provoking and ignites conversation. So, cinemanipod at protonmail.com. Did you watch it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you with Travis saying, this isn't a very specific category all in itself? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. You can DM us on all the standard social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and yada, yada, yada. And
did you cry in your car in 2004? Send us an email.
Yeah. And don't forget to keep playing our game of selection for listener's choice. Next week, we will reveal, we'll do our Monday night. Are we ending it on the Monday and doing our thing?
I think that we'll have I don't think we'll need to do a special session. I think we'll have an answer to record when we record next week's episode.
Oh, well, I like our special sessions. So. Okay, that's fine. All right. So with that, it's time for me to choose a movie, right?
It is. It's that time.
Okay. Well, had a few floating around. I got them written down that I was thinking of, and there's been a list accruing over the last few months that we've started.
Everybody should know that as he vamps and talks right now, he's actually making the choice as he.
That's correct. Yeah, I've had prepared choices, but this time I had a few written down. He's
scrolling through Anna Faris's filmography.
I had one in particular that I actually think is locked in. I just want to make sure that I feel right about it, but I'm pretty sure we're going to do a movie from the 2000s again. We're staying in the 2000s.
All right.
We've avoided the 90s for a bit, and it's an interesting film. It's directed by someone who did some great work in the 90s, but then kind of disappeared. So we're going to do 2002's The Rules of Attraction.
Oh, God. I knew that was coming eventually.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Oh, fuck. I was afraid of this.
You were afraid of this? Okay, good.
I just scrolled past it like a few days ago. I'm like, fuck, I know we're going to have to fucking watch that again one day.
Well,
oh my God, so many quotes. I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, to be honest with you. I certainly wore it down back in the 2000s. No doubt about it. But
Oh yeah, I mean, I watched it so many times in the
That
2000s.
soundtrack, though.
It's been a good decade at least or more.
Fuck.
has it been that long?
Damn
Okay,
it.
well that's good. I was hoping maybe there'd been a period, a lull, maybe, where
Bri-
you hadn't seen it. So.
Brian Madison, if you're listening, send us an email so you can relate your Shannon Sossaman true life encounter. We would love to read it on the show.
It sucks, Carl.
All right, there's a little teaser for you for next week. That's right. We're doing The Rules of Attraction, directed by Roger Avery from 2002. If you want to play along, you can watch it over the next 7 days, and then we'll talk about it a week from now on the show. And then we'll also have our listener's choice revealed by then. I don't know when it's ending. When does it end?
I mean, that's why I started it kind of early. Like, it doesn't have a specific end. It's whenever the game ends. So
Maybe it never ends. Is it like the game, the movie?
At the rate we're moving, it should be done by next Thursday. So we should.
Yay! Okay, well, thanks for listening, everybody. Interesting episode, to be sure, and we always welcome your input. And we'll be back next week with Rules of Attraction. Should I change my mind?
Trigger warning.
That's why I want to talk about this movie. I don't know. It's a different time, so we'll see. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
No quotables from that movie.